Diane in Denmark here, rah, rah, rah. We made it to the end of another week. It is Friday, hooray, hooray, hooray. And today we are going to be making Flylady Control Journal, house management binder, whatever you want to call it. We're going to be making it together. And listen, because I don't stop right there. I know there's some ladies who are already, getting their coats on. Where's the car keys? I have to go out to the shops. You don't need anything special to start this, so please stop right there, sit down, grab a cup of coffee, and all you're going to need to get started is perhaps you have an old jotter of the kids. Where's my one? Yeah, I popped it in here. If you've got an old school jotter of the kids and a pen, that's the only thing that you're going to need to get started. And I hope you're going to be able to hear me today, because can you hear that? It is pouring with rain here, and also the men are doing new tarmac outside on the road. Hold on, let me just put you up a wee bit. They're doing new tarmac, and just as a little fun fact, because I am Scottish, I used to say this to the kids all the time when they were small. Did you know that tarmac was invented by a Scot? Because tarmac actually comes from tar macadam. So it was macadam that came up with tarmac. Anyway, pouring with rain here, but the Hygge is going on. I've got the candles going, and I'll be out on my bike later. And somebody said the other day, how do we cope here with when it's raining or whatever, when we're out on our bikes? Say there's no such thing as bad weather, just inappropriate clothing. So I have my waterproof set ready to go. I had this on last night when I was at a girls' night. I was out on my bike. I've got a raincoat, and I've also got my waterproof trousers. These are just slip-on trousers that you pull on over whatever trousers that you're wearing, and they keep you nice and dry. Anyway, let's get started on our new Flylady Control Journal, House Management Journal, whatever you want to call it. Now, a lot of you will be saying, do I really need one? Why do I need a kind of paper copy of things where we've got all these fancy apps? And I'll tell you why. It's really, really useful to have it written down somewhere here, so that you can either check it off on those days which are really tough. Perhaps you've just had a baby, or perhaps there's somebody coming in to care for you. Maybe you are a carer yourself. Maybe you're most postmenopausal like me and your brain has gone to mush. It's really nice to have a place for all this stuff all in one place, so that when all goes wrong, you know where to find it. Also, if you have, the family will be helping you with cleaning and your routines and stuff, so they have a place where they know they can find stuff. So anyway, and as I said, you don't need anything fancy. I've taken everything out of my old Flylady Control Journal, because I've had a Flylady Control Journal for years, but I've decided to redo it, and I thought I would walk and talk you through what I have. And remember here, and I'll probably make 2 videos about this. We'll do a little basics thing today, and then I'll tell you next week all the other things which can go in here. And listen up, this is a work in progress. We're not going to be finished with this today. It's a working document that you will add to, you will change it up. It doesn't have to be finished today. The main thing that I want you to take from today is just to get it started, because I know a lot of you have been putting it off, not really sure what's to go in it. You're already thinking about washi tape and stickers and bullet journaling. We're just making a simple document here that's really going to help you if you actually look at it, and I'll talk about that then. Anyway, I'm now calling mine Hygge Home. This is my Hygge Home folder. Call it whatever you like, something that will motivate you. And I've taken everything out, as you can see, and I've given it a wee scrub up to make it look a bit more clean. Now, hold on, let me just put you back a wee bit. Right, so what we're going to start with, we're just going to start with the basics. Hold on, come up a bit, so I'm cutting my top of my head off today. Doesn't matter, my hair's a bit floppy. There we are. Is that better? Yeah, okay. What we're going to start with is the very first page I like to have is emergency numbers. Now I'm not going to show you my personal page, but I've typed out a wee list that may be helpful to you. So you just write down, and you don't have to type it out, it doesn't have to be in a certain font. Just write down emergency numbers, and here's some ideas of what you can have as the emergency numbers. Police, the doctor, the numbers of your neighbours, if suddenly something's up, you need to get in touch with them. Electrician, plumber, gas, any of those kind of utilities that sometimes don't work as they should. Family members, telephone number of your babysitter, the address and telephone number of your house, because for example, if you have the babysitter coming in, it's quite nice that they can also go to your, you've got your binder, and if they need to suddenly get in touch and say, oh, that this is the address. And also the Wi-Fi code if your kids' friends are coming and you're looking for that. So this is just a basic list of emergency numbers that you might need to get, suddenly the power goes and you're fumbling around in the morning, you know you can find the number in here. So that's just a kind of basic start, is your emergency numbers. And then moving on more to the Flylady stuff, you probably want to have a list for morning routine and evening routine. Now I'm not going to get into that today about what to put down there or what you're going to be focusing on, whether you are working outside the home or inside the home. I've done 3,567 videos on routines and how to tweak them and what you need. I'll put the link up there, but we're not getting into that today. We're just making a basic house management journal. If you do have some plastic sheets, I'll just show you here. I've put these ones in plastic sheets. Do you see? The plastic sheets are quite nice because if you've got a checklist for your say for your morning routine of start laundry, dress to shoes, empty dishwasher. If you have your routine there, and please don't make it more than 3 or 4 items, because if you have a list of 27 things, that is so demotivating and you're not going to get through it, believe me. So just keep it short and sweet. Once you've got 3 or 4 things in your routine, you can cross them off with any kind of whiteboard pen. This is my one. You can cross them off, and then the next day you can just wipe it off and start again. So if you do have some of those old plastic sheets, I'm sure you've got some lying around, and look, they don't even need to be fancy. Look at this one, it's all crushed. It does the job. So your morning routine and your evening routine. And also I would suggest, bring it down a bit, to put in pages for the Flylady's daily focus. Now, what's a daily focus and why do you need it? The daily focus is so that every day has a purpose, and you don't need to be following the same days as is on the Flylady website or the Flylady reminders. But I find it really useful just to have it's a framework for your week, where we're not talking here about cleaning our stuff. We're talking about all the things that need to be done in your life on a weekly basis. Now, I'll just quickly go through the days. If you want to know more about the daily focus, I've got videos on that, but don't get into that right now. Here come the days. Monday in Flylady land is, your power hour or your weekly home blessing hour. You've got your tasks, and remember, it's not cleaning the whole house, it's the weekly upkeep clean of the high traffic areas of your house. And again, if you've got your tasks written down, you can check them off as you do them through the week. You may do all the tasks on one day. You maybe get the kids to do 2 tasks, and you do 2 tasks, and your partner does 2 tasks. Maybe you do it that, like me, I split it up over the week and I do 4 or 5 on a Monday and the other days as it happens. But once again, once you've got them on your list, you can tick them off, and then the next week you start again, and you don't worry if you didn't get to one of them. Okay, so Monday, weekly home blesser. You can write Monday there, or whichever day is going to suit you. I'm just doing, according to, the Flylady thing. Tuesday in Flylady Land, as you all know, is plan and play day or desk day. You know, the day for making your menus, checking bank statements, all kind of stuff. Doesn't need to be Tuesday, it can be any day that you like. But I find it really useful to have these sheets in my control journal because, you know, especially on those days when I'm not feeling it, I can just open the control journal and say, okay, what day is it? It's Wednesday. Oh, okay, Wednesday is anti-procrastination day. And on these lists, you can add tasks. If you suddenly think of something, oh, you know, things that you're putting off, like, I don't know, changing lights in your bike, changing batteries in your bike lights, measuring up for a new carpet for the living room, you know, whatever it is. Add it to your list here, and then when Wednesday rolls around, you can check off a few things. Thursday in Flylady Land is errand day. Doesn't need to be Thursday. And on my list, I've written down all the places, and I don't want to show you all my personal information, but on errand day, I've got all the places that I might have to go written down. The supermarket, the library, book exchange, the pharmacy, post office, charity shop donations, recycling centre, what else have we got? The ironmonger, hardware store, I think you call it in American, cobblers, anything like that. So you can write those down. So when it comes down to, you know, your errand day, oh yeah, do you have library books to hand in? And what about, oh, I've got some dry cleaning that needs to be picked up. So it's just making a kind of working list so you can refer to it. Friday in Flylady Land is date, purse, car, which is date night, clean out your handbag, your purse. Also take a wee look in your car, bike, make sure those are kind of clean and working, and fill up a car with petrol. And as I said before, I've made tons of videos about that before. So don't go diving into that yet. Just make your list so you've got a day to be doing on it. And then we have Saturday in Flylady Land is family fun day. We're not talking about going to a theme park, just, you know, maybe playing a game of Uno together or Rummy Cub after tea. And once again, you know, just put down some ideas there, and you can add to it, or the family can add to it, and then you've kind of got a working list, and say, oh yeah, so, you know, Jason, he wanted to do that, and Amelia wanted to do that, and you can kind of cross them off your list. And then Sunday, renew your spirit. Somebody asked that about the other day, what it was. It's just recharging your batteries. Write down a few things that you enjoy doing and are not always actually making time to do. And that in Flylady Land is Sunday. But once again, you know, you can make your Renew Your Spirit Day a Tuesday, Wednesday afternoon, whatever it is. The main thing is that you just take, you know, a piece of paper for each day, so that when you open your control journal or your household management binder, whatever you want to call it, you've got a plan for things. You're just kind of, okay, what's on the plan for today? And especially if you are working shifts, or perhaps the kids are going between various homes, you know, 1 week at their mums, 1 week at their dads. It's really useful to have that list. It doesn't need to be by the day, but just to have a set, you know, purpose. And you can say, okay, today we're going to do errand day. What do we have on that? Because quite often I change up the days. For example, errand day, sometimes I do it on a Tuesday, sometimes I do it on a Thursday, but I have my list ready to go, and that's what really makes the difference here. Right, and I think we'll put one other thing in our control journal today, and then the next time I talk to you about control journal, I'm going to talk to you about all the other fun things that can go in there, you know, cleaning lists, packing lists for when you're going your holidays, meal planning, but don't get ahead of yourself. Let's just keep to the basics right now. The other thing that I have is a kind of tickler list. Okay, we're not tickling anybody, and I do this. You know, you can have a whole page for January, a whole page for February, whatever you like. This really helps. So you can on this you can have recurring things. For example, it could be birthdays. You can write in people's birthdays in there, so that when you are doing your desk day, you know, plan and play on a Tuesday, it's like, oh, you can see which birthdays are coming up, you know, without having to leaf through the calendar. You can also put onto things like the seasonal things. For example, usually on the month of end of October, early November, I've got written down to change the car tyres. We need to change our car tyres here to winter tyres because we have weather, which means that we have to have winter tyres. And again, in March, I'll have it written down to change back to the summer tyres. So any kind of seasonal things like that, it's a nice place to have them so that at the beginning of the month you can check, what's coming up or what should be on my radar. So anyway, I hope I've given you a few ideas for that today. Please remember, don't go and buy anything new. You've got old, and everybody's got these things lying about, in one of the kitchen junk drawers probably. And I'll just answer a question here because I know whenever I've shown my control journal before, because you've seen me, when I show you the zone cleaning lists, you've seen this little holder that I have on the front where I keep my whiteboard pen and a pen inside it. Oh, there's one that I got in Japan. And I can't tell you exactly where to get this because I bought this one in one of those kind of dollar store types of shops in Tokyo about 3 years ago in a Daiso shop. But if you look for an elastic pen holder, those of you who are very good at arts and crafts, you can actually make one for yourself. I've seen them on YouTube. Anyway, don't start going looking for those right now. The main thing is that you take a pen, you get a few things written down and you just get started, okay? So I'm going to send you off on your merry way with a rah, rah, rah. I know, as I said, next week I'll make a second video about this to check up on you and make sure they actually got the first stage done before we're going to do it. So anyway, live long and prosper. May the Danish Hygge be with you. Oh, hooray, the rain seems to be going off and there's no rumbling outside at the moment. If you hear any rumbling, it'll just be my tummy. So anyway, I hope you have a fantastic weekend. I shall see you probably on Instagram over the weekend. And otherwise, I'll be back next week on YouTube where there's a little surprise for you. Anyway, live long and prosper. May the Danish Hygge be with you. And rah, rah, rah. Okay, bye for now.